Friday preview in association with Leith Spirits. I'm Mai.
Yeah, I'm Colin.
And I'm John.
And how are you both doing? John, how are you doing?
I'm really well. I've had quite a excuse me, interesting day actually. I went to go get my haircut earlier, and to begin with, there was a wee laddie that I could see in the mirror behind me who had an iPad and a set of headphones, and he was reenacting, I want to say it was Thriller. And then shortly afterwards, a dog came in and, as God is my judge, shat on the floor.
How did Michael Jackson escape cancellation?
I don't know how we did it. I think it was just because he was.
No,
It
not
was.
because he's dead.
He was never charged.
Neither is Jimmy Savile.
But the evidence was overwhelming against Savile in the end. Like he died, and everybody went, "I fucking look, he did it." Whereas nobody really did that with Michael Jackson. It was
They're still
only ever
protecting him.
insinuated, wasn't it? It was never out and out. He's a wrong one.
Possibly that. I've asked that question before. It comes on the radio and that, and you think, how's that? But
Do you think his song bad, or was the album bad? Do you think that was him hiding in plain sight, telling folk, like a musical confession?
Maybe.
Need to read the lyrics of that track.
Aye. Colin, how are you doing?
I'm all right, aye. I think I'm getting a bit of cold, actually. A bit one kicking about the house. And it's feel like it's coming my way.
Yeah, that's a bit of a nightmare. Well, I'm trying to post the link to this.
You not done it yet?
Live on Twitter. I've done it. I've put it on Patreon already. I'm just trying to kind of do it on Twitter and Blue Sky as well. It's trickier than you might think. I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the presentation up. Carl, get your team first of all, and as you're talking about that, I
took a bit of offence at you last night saying, "Well done, Joe. That's the first time I've had somebody getting it right." I've definitely had the team right, but I don't know if you're excluding me for that. The population. You didn't tell us that.
I was talking about contributors as opposed to panelists and hosts.
Right, that's fine.
You've normally got this stuff written down, Colin. You're like Long Banger's historian, like the Long Banger's Historical Trust.
Written down. No, it's just all up here, mate.
All up there, all up there. Right, I think I've got the team right. Is Clydebank and not Cowdenbeath, and I use both sorted for whiskey before we start. Like you've got enough to keep you through the.
Aye, that was funny. Yeah,
amazing. That was my
favourite. Was it his wife's name? I didn't quite grasp her name.
Didn't catch it. No.
No, whiskey. Can I get another whiskey in here?
and bless him, like he's one of my favourites on the phone. And it was taking the headphones off.
And I never watched it. I was just listening. Never muted himself. Amazing.
Oh, amazing. What a moment. What a moment. Right, Colin, here's your team. Go and talk us through it.
So I've changed that a wee bit. You'll see the formation change here. And it was a bit of not mad panic at all, but a bit of a change because you messaged me saying a bit is suspended. And I did have the same formation as normal, with a beta on the left of the four, the 3-4-1-2. But when you take a beta out, it's a wee bit with nobody else, right? So what I thought how can I change this to something that fits for the players without changing too much? So Smith and goals, the same back three again: O'Hora, Bushiri, Iredale. Levitt and Triant is still in the middle, but what I thought was I can have Milotnikov on the left with Boyle on the right, Hoylett and Campbell is more attacking midfielders with Gale up front, and it is Cowdenbeath, so we should be able to cope. We should be able to play more attacking players. So, and so we've kind of went with that famous five up front.
It's a decent looking five.
Same players, isn't it?
Aye. It's funny just the wee changes, like the wee subtle changes shape makes a difference to it. John, what you think about that team?
I'm looking at it thinking it's a 3-6-1. But otherwise, like you were saying about Abita and Mariah Welsh being suspended, so Abita and Mariah Welsh. So I had originally had Abita in the left midfield to replace Cadden because I presume with him having a broken nose, it might be a good idea or a suspected broken nose, it's a good idea to rest him. But I had to make the same sort of changes. But otherwise, like I agree with Colin, like it's a game to go out and win. It's a game to go and play more attack-minded players. so I've got no complaints with it. Maybe not a complaint, just like Molotnikov out on the left, but he's played out on the left there already. He's cut inside and he scored a couple of goals, so that would be my only question mark. But I'd really be splitting hairs to focus on that.
I like how you described Nicky Cadden's injury as a suspected broken nose. Like when you see the photo, the bottom of his nose is in a different postcode for the top of his nose. I think it's the most obvious broken nose that you'll ever see.
I don't know if this is an actual term, but I'm going to call it a journalistic caveat because I haven't seen it written anywhere that it is confirmed that he has a broken nose. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Fair enough. Imagine his nose was straight and it was the rest of his face that he'd broken.
Yeah. Maybe just keep yourself safe, John. Don't want the podcast getting sued for misinformation.
Imagine. We'd have been bankrupt a long time ago. And Levitt keeping his place. So Levitt, Chianti, I suppose, with Newell still unavailable. No room for Quan. Mariah Welsh is unavailable as well through suspension. So they two pretty much pick themselves, Colin, I guess.
It did for me. I mean, actually, when you're doing it, if anybody goes on the app and tries to pick the team, you'll see how many players we've actually got. And when you take a few out that are unavailable, you're really going, this is about it. Like we've not got much. We've not got loads else. I know you mentioned Con there, but there's not a lot to add to it. So all the talkie playing at, sorry, I see his slide, but all the talkie playing the reserves in that, we've not really got any.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
we're and I suppose then you're looking at the youth team, aren't you? Really, to see if there's any way you can promote up for this game, but I've no sense there's a great appetite for chucking loads of young players into this game.
They've not been on the bench or nothing, have they? So.
No. All right, John, let's look at your team. Go and talk me through it. I
actually prepared some notes this week rather than just names on a screen. So same basic formation, 3-5-2. The lineup allows for or accounts for suspension and injury. So we mentioned a couple of them already. Abita, Mariah Welsh. So you'll notice Lewis Miller over on the right-hand side of defence. I've put him in ahead of Ahora because I'm not sure on the status of Ahora's. I think it was an ankle injury. So if there's an opportunity to give him a wee bit of a rest, let's do that while maintaining some sort of continuity. The formation allows for some players who need first team games while not taking unnecessary risks with wholesale changes. The emphasis on this lineup is still to put the game out of reach early doors. That's the challenge I would be setting to the starting 11 if I was David Gray. And it also allows for the Thursday, Sunday regulars over the festive period a wee bit of rest in the second half. So I'm thinking I've started Boyle and Gale up front, but there's possibilities for Kaharovic potentially. I don't know if he's definitely coming back from injury and in line for an appearance. Bowie, McCurdy, they could potentially get a wee run out in the second half. And I've got Molotnikov and Kwon mentioned there as well. So Levitt is just back and played 60 minutes last week. Don't think he's out injured, but he tired and he got subbed in the 60th minute. So there's a possibility for Kwon to come in there and Molotnikov to start getting some game time to replace Campbell later in the game. But with that emphasis on go out, win the game first, let's not take any chances, and then we can maybe ease up a wee bit going into the second half.
I'm all in favour of that, Jordan. Like I liked Colin's team. I like this team as well. I don't think there's much that you would pick holes with. I think Hoylett on the left makes sense if you've not got a Beta or Nicky Cadden available. Levitt, you're looking for him to really sort of to stamp put his mark on this game. Then I suppose, John, he's got the opportunity to be in the starting lineup now. Is this his time to shine?
Yeah, I think so. He was one of the guys that I was thinking about when I said about the lineup allowing for some players who need first team games. So he got those 60 minutes last week, and I think hopefully with the type of game that we're going into, he might be able to, with some of the pace that's in front of him, he might be able to start picking out runs with some of the passes that we know that he's capable of, and it might give him a bit of a boost to his confidence. Because I think that's something that's been lacking. Like when he's been in the Hibs team before, when he's had a regular bit of time, it's always been on the back of overall poor performances from the Hibs team. So it'd be nice to have a positive display last week, and then a positive display again this week, because it's only going to be good for him, and it's only going to be good for Hibs to have that.
Definitely.
What was the thinking with Miller over O'Hora?
Just because of O'Hora's recent injury, I don't know whether he's over it or not, but because he was also one of those players who had been out because of injury, I thought let's just give him a rest because he'd been in the team quite a bit, and I don't think it really disrupts the team too much to have Miller in there.
I considered doing that with Iredale with a beater, but then discovered everybody was injured and suspended on my left hand side, so left them in.
And I think that's the challenge sometimes, isn't it, for David Gray or whoever it is that happens to be in charge when you have the squad like it is, and when there's a couple of injuries or suspensions, ideally you want to give people a rest because of the recent hectic fixture list. But you can't. There are going to have to be guys that are just going to have to suck it up, unfortunately. Go out, get the boots on and run a bit of it.
Jack on the YouTube said, hello, Hibs to win 8-0. Hibs for me. Rob said, we're playing Cowdenbeath now. That definitely are going to get called Cowdenbeath between now and the end of the weekend, undoubtedly. But it is Clydebank we're playing. Kenny said, I'll go along with John starting 11 and a nice wee 12-0. And Ian said, Miko and Bowie both available to feature, which is good news. I take it that must have just come from David Gray's press conference. Have they seen that yet? Right, Sandy sent in a team. He does have Nicky Cadden in there. Obviously, we know now that Nicky's not available. So Sandy went for Smith, O'Hora, Bashir, Iredale, Cadden, Chantis, Levitt, other Cadden, Campbell, Boyle, and Bowie coming in. Would you be tempted to start Bowie, Heathery? Like you both left him out. You're starting 11. Is there an argument to say start him and give him 20 minutes to start off with and then take him off, or is it better just to bring him on in the second half?
I would bring him on later in the game. I wouldn't want. I think because of his injury history and the circumstances of his injury in the Scotland game that's left him out, needs to be managed back in. But that's from my perspective because I don't know the full details of his injury and his recovery. But if David Gray might know more and might be more confident to start him, but if it was me, I would be waiting until late in the game when legs are tired, a wee bit less exertion for him. And
Colin, are you excited at the prospect of Miko and Bowie starting together, or no starting together but playing together?
I'm up at Bowie coming back certainly. Hopefully that makes Karavic spark into life. And on the 20 minutes thing or whatever, we don't know how long he'll get, but it's just the done thing, isn't it? You start a game and then you bring somebody off after 20. So that's why I never went for that way. Then you will have a time limit. The physios will have put a time limit on how long you can play.
Are physios just killjoys?
Yep, in my experience recently, aye.
So, up your game, physios. That's the message for us. Take the shackles off. Right, this is the team I went with. So I went for Smith, O'Hora, Bashiri and Iredale, Chris Cadden, Chantis Levitt, Hoyle on the left, Campbell, Boyle and Molotnikov up front. So I thought it would be interesting seeing what Molotnikov would be like up top. I think previously, you mentioned, John, he'd been starting out on the left for us, but I think the way that we've been set up when Boyle and Yuan were available is Gray's been quite happy to play the two of them who are really wide players, but play them as a front two and let them sort of drift out and then come back in, which I think causes defenders a lot of problems. So I kind of went with the same principle that it gets Molotnikov a bit of a run out. This is the sort of game that might be a good one for him to do because he's going to find space and get on the ball quite a lot. So I put him in there, and I thought that meant you could play Hoylett on the left and just gives us that strength down that side. Because I think Hoylett's is sort of natural third choice there if you've not got Nicky Cadden and you've not got a beater. That Hoylett would be the one that would come in there. But again, no huge variation in the teams.
Players, I think you guys are probably more correct on the formation. Like he's not going to change it too much. I would expect, but I just thought I would try something different.
Fair enough, no harm in that. Any challenges on the team? Anything you didn't like there?
I'm happy about Molotnikov up front, but still like hawking a laddie about positions. Like he's got a position. You know what I
Give
mean?
youth a chance, Colin.
Aye, but just I get a chance at your position.
Aye, that's great. It's about development, isn't it? You learn all the different positions. These are the games to do it.
We'll do it with everybody else then.
They were fuck about, Colin. You can't go
Dennis
take the
is
cup
only
seriously.
21.
You've got to take the cup seriously. Right? You can't do it with everybody. Limit it. Right. That's the team. The only other thing I was really kind of wanting to share on the screen was we've not really got a form guide as such because you can't really compare what we're doing with what Clydebank are doing. So if you give me a wee second, we'll get their last few games up because you get an idea of the sort of the position, the level that they're at, and then also the sort of position they're in because they're not really awash with games recently. So these are the last few games, and you look there. They played 19th October, 26th October, 9th November, 16th November, and then 30th, and then one game in December, and they've not played since then. And they're playing teams like Auchinleck Talbot and Glenafton and Buckie Thistle.
So hang on. Am I reading that right? That Clydebank are in a Scottish feeder league?
Well, that's what they've called it on Google.
I just assumed that they were maybe like, what would it be now? Second division, old third division?
I don't know. No, I think they're lower down than that. I think that like if Clydebank were to beat us, it would be a bigger shock than Brora beating Hearts.
Right.
Like
Okay.
to get you an idea of the scale. I mean,
the kind of league that like the what do we call it? East of Scotland through here, don't we?
Aye.
West of Scotland, or the one below that even. Like where Hearts stick their B team into.
Aye. It's
the regional side of it because they're in the lowland league below that's East of Scotland, isn't it? So they're in the West of Scotland, which then feeds into the lowland, which then feeds into League Two.
So suggestions of 8 and 12-0 aren't necessarily wide of the mark.
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be.
If you think going back a few years, we had Bonnie who were at Tynecastle when we played them in the cup, and does that finish 8-1? I think.
Aye, did they open the scoring by a penalty?
Aye, but I think
they got a penalty.
We went in at half time, and there wasn't that big a gap by half time, but by the end of the game, it was like a kind of golf. I mean, even Stevenson was popping up with a goal in that game. I've got a feeling this might be similar. It might be a wee bit slow to start, but once we score, we should kind of keep scoring. The only thing you would say there, and it's hard to gauge because of the level that they're playing at, but Clydebank, they don't concede very many there. It's like a 1-0 win, a 3-0 win, a 0-0, a 4-0 win, a 2-0 win, and then that like one each. So there's only like one conceded in that last group of games there. Obviously the level counts. Kenny said get the game won and bring the likes of Bowie and Miko on later. Ian said no one tempted to give Bursic a run out. No, I think that's a straight no, isn't it? Nobody.
I was, but I didn't think there was any need to drop Smith in the context of what I was saying about the lineup.
Goalies didn't get tired. I mean, they just stand there, eh? So.
Aye, I never get that. I can get a goalie going to my cramp at the end of the game. They're definitely at it. Like that's there's no danger they'd actually got cramp. Green Tea said, as a worrywart sort of person, would be happy with any sort of win. Ultimately, that's it. You just want to progress, but I think we're all going to Easter Road tomorrow looking for a good day. I mean, a 1-0 or a 2-0 is not really going to leave too many folks satisfied, you wouldn't think?
Is that self-defeating if it's say it's only 2-0 and folk come away disappointed? Is that the correct mindset to come away with?
I don't know. Is it? Like
I don't know. Like, so
where does mediocre sit in this? Like if folk talk about accepting mediocrity, where what scoreline counts as mediocre? Because you didn't get replays or anything today. It's like a winner on the day. So
I don't know. Like I forget who it was that made the point, and they described themselves as a worrywart. So say it was only 1-0, I would be all right with that because the only goal for me is to progress to the next round. However, if it was 4 or 5 or 8 or 12, then you're sitting, you're having a laugh because it's been a really enjoyable game, really enjoyable afternoon at the football. I
think as
suppose
long as you go through it, you're right. You just go through. I mean, that's it. And let's not be so arrogant as to suggest that if it's not a 6-0, it's not a good result. Like I don't think football works like that. So you're right. Progression's the key.
I suppose what I'm still going for in my head, perhaps, is if I was to analyse myself, is that cautiously optimistic approach. Like just go and win the game, and then whatever more you get after that is a bonus.
Colin, where do you stand on that?
Right, we need to get through. That's the important thing, and we'll forget if we go on to get the final or win it. We'll forget that we only beat Hearts didn't bother a fuck when they drew Auchin like Talbot or whatever it was in the first round when I think they won the cup that year. But there will be complaints, especially for the Roy Keane fan club. Like if we only win 1-0 or 2-1 or go through an extra time or something, we'll hear all about it in the talking points. So bring it on, eh? Engagement, good content, hashtag, etc.
Just slightly off topic, but was Roy Keane playing for Man United when they blamed the colour of the strips for getting beat off Southampton? I think it was.
Possibly. I'm not sure if it was before his time.
He was in that. I'm sure he was in that team.
So his mentality wasn't good enough to overcome the colour of the strips that day.
Before we get your score predictions, another thing I wanted to show you. So the training ground pictures came out earlier, and we saw this on Twitter. This was Hibs Alan. Do we know who this player is?
No, don't.
Haven't a clue.
So a potential new signing is what we're reckoning. Somebody on trial, maybe.
Yep. Must be.
So did that come from? So the pictures come from Hibs.net, but the picture must have been taken somewhere. Was that released by Hibs on, say, Twitter
I think it's for Hibs training pictures. I don't think somebody's been down with a long lens like that. I can't remember who the guy was that used to. Folk used to slag him and say he used to do that. I think actually did, but I don't think that happens now. Then folk hang about, and they should. I think we need to get back to the days of folk sneaking around the bushes at HTC to try and get the transfer gossip out. A bit disappointed that stopped, to be honest with you. But in the meantime, we need to make do with Hibs teasing wee bits of information like this. So, no idea who it is.
Are we 100% sure that it's not an existing Hibs player?
No, but I couldn't think who it would be. Looking at him, I didn't recognise him at all. So I couldn't pinpoint. Like if you say, "Okay, who's that?" I would have been like, "Don't know. It doesn't look like an existing player."
So Hibs have teased a wee image of someone, or it's an image of someone who currently plays for Hibs, but we didn't quite recognise because they're on the turn.
Aye. I don't care if you can use that phrase these days. Aye. But
on the turn.
You've said it.
Sorry, turning in the image.
If anybody knows, you can fire in the comments. Rob Morris said a Rocky hat trick, but it was his prediction.
What end?
Aye, what end? The other thing is the Hibs Reserve are reporting that we're interested in Matthias Stiltanen. I think that's how you pronounce it. With reports a £700,000 offer.
Oh yeah, that's the 17-year-old Scandinavian wunderkind.
Yep, plays for Cups, KUPS. I don't know if that stands for something, or if that's just a name. Anyway, interesting one. There's I believe Djurgården are interested in him as well, so a bit of competition to get his signature. But 17-year-old, 700 grand reeks a bit of Elias Melkerson, Colin, you think, or?
Well, it does say.
What Jenkins signings like this? Did they get your juices flowing, or would you rather we avoided them?
Not till I've seen them playing, eh? That's the thing. I try and wait to judge them as a player. It sounds a lot of money for a 17-year-old, which suggests it's good, but then we've not got a good track record. I appreciate we made money on the Melkerson deal, but
if I get a non-physio answer for you, John, do you get excited by these ones?
Yes and no. I don't know if like the Wonder Kids, like there was like Wonder Kids were kind of like in vogue for a while. Like I think probably when Wayne Rooney came through, like Francis Jeffers, we had our own with like Kenny Miller. Like you didn't really seem to get so much of them anymore. So a 17-year-old that Hibs are able to spend 700 grand on, aye, it's interesting. I don't know if I'm excited. I think the more accurate comparison might be to Ruben McAllister rather than Melkerson.
Yep, Jason Lads just said the same thing. We blew 300k on the boy McAllister, and he's yet to impact the first team. So I suppose it'll all come out in the wash. Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. I tend to agree with you, Colin. Actually, you need to wait and see. We've all been burned by YouTube highlight reels and stuff now.
Yeah, I don't even look at them.
View them all with a healthy dose of cynicism now. All right, score predictions then. Let's wrap up. John, first of all, are Hibs going through?
Yes.
And what's the score going to be?
3-0.
All right, Colin?
6-1.
6-1 to Hibs. I think we'll win. I think we'll win to nothing, and I think it will be 8. I think it'll be 8-0. That's my super duper prediction. John, we're in Tornadoes tomorrow.
No, you're not.
Where are we?
No.
Pioneers?
But
We're Pioneers.
how many times?
I reckon why it doesn't stick. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I do care. Just the wrong. Well,
You have to work harder at that.
the wrong word sometimes just presents itself, and then I can't stop in time. And it was Scott Henderson who won the competition with Rare Fine Whiskey. So hopefully see you there, Scott. That's us wrapping up for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back on Sunday with the post-match